Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Sometimes it's not the loudest stories that keep us up at night. It's the quiet ones. The ones that never quite made the headlines. The ones that left behind more questions than answers. The Final Trace is a true crime podcast about the strange, the unresolved, and the stories that slip through the cracks. From disappearances to mysterious deaths, to cases that were technically solved, but still don't sit right. We dig into the overlooked, the eerie, and the human side of every story. Because even when a case goes cold, there's always something left behind. A clue, a feeling, a final trace. Follow The Final Trace wherever you listen to podcasts, and come find what still lingers in the silence. I'm your host, Hopper Daly, and this is The Final Trace.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his
Welcome to Mountain Murders. We outside.
We out here.
We out here, y'all. Hey.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Delightful. You're simply delightful.
Got my radio voice today.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
You know what? I have missed our listeners. I'm so glad to be back in the studio, ready with a new case. Are you, Dylan, feeling it? Are you feeling it?
I dreamed about our listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask any questions.
Well, no, it was a
that
platonic dream.
Okay.
Just so you know, I'm gonna get that off.
Was it a fevery dream?
I always sweat, so when I woke up, I was sweating.
You always sweat.
I'm moist
I've
when
been
I sleep.
sweating a lot in my sleep lately. I'd be getting hot as hell.
But no, I just dreamt about how much I love them and how really smart they are.
That's awesome. I always dream that you cheat on me.
Yeah, no, this. Hey, look, I'm. This is real. I'll be at work. I go to work early in the morning, weird hours, 1, 2 in the morning. And Heather will obviously be asleep when I leave, typically. And then later, she always stirs. She's a light sleeper. Never sleeps more than about 3 or 4 hours. Wakes up, maybe goes back to sleep. And she'll just text me out of the blue. I'm so sad. I'm like, what? Why? And I'm like of course I'm going in my head. I'm like, God, what did I do? Did I fucking forget something or blah, this and that? And she'd be like, I dreamed that you were cheating on me. It was so real. And I woke up sad. And I was like, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, at least I just wake up sad and I'm not like mad at you.
Well, no, because that would be,
Because I'm like, what if I woke up and just burned all your shit or something?
no, but Dream Dylan, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy. Dylan, I don't know why I'm so fucking thirsty right now. I am double fisting a Yerba Madre tea along with a smoothie.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's been kind of warm today and I'm so parched.
Yeah. She thirsty.
I gotta have. You asked me earlier, like, you have 2 drinks, and I said, yes, I do.
Well, I was like, are you actively working both of these liquids? That's what I asked you. Oh, wow. Oh, we're drinking on the podcast?
No, we're not. I
can't have a sup.
I just needed a sound effect.
I wanna have a
Okay,
sup of
moving
tea.
along, Dylan, let's get into today's case. Enough with that ridiculousness. I was recently listening to another true crime podcast, and they were kind of ranting about people who don't get to the point right away.
Oh, gosh.
And these like side stories and how it bothers them, and so many listeners don't like it. And I'm like, you know what? Our listeners, they love it. They will listen to us talk about nonsense all day because they're true fans.
Well, they've proved that because they continue to listen. And, but, you got to chop it up just a little bit. But, sometimes we have a big sidebar. I like to feel it's mostly organic and, makes sense at the time. But you know what? Enough of that, because we do have to get to the meat of the story.
I like to think that sidebar is more like a snack bar.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this, Dylan. It's a very disturbing unsolved case.
Oh,
And
no.
I know a lot of people don't like the unsolved. There is hope, I think, to solve this case. But it's just one of those like senseless, incredibly violent cases. Are you ready?
You know, I got to say that you're bringing me around. I've said many times that I don't care for unsolved stories because there's no resolution. You know, everyone's left hanging, especially the family, friends, loved ones. But honestly, during our cold case series, during the winter there, you kind of brought me around because you kept reiterating the importance of telling the story again. And I know that you truly mean that. You're not just saying that because you want to make content. And I've thought about it more and more, and I do believe it. I believe it's important, and I believe that you never know when that story being told one more time may help. So
Right, and I want to tell this story because it is so shocking and just, like I said, senseless. Okay, let's get into it, Dylan. Spartanburg, South Carolina is located in the northwest part of the state and is home to 38,700 people, making it the 11th largest city in the state of South Carolina.
Okay.
Spartanburg is known as Hub City, a nickname dating back to the late 1800s. The city became a major railroad junction with multiple rail lines converging from different directions. From above, the pattern of the tracks looked like spokes on a wheel hub, hence the name Hub City.
Yeah.
And as we learn, a lot of these cities sprung up because of the railroads. We talk about that quite a bit when we get into history.
Well, yeah, that was the railroad back in the day was, you know, the wagon trail before that, or a port, you know, or a ford along a river, or, well, that didn't belong. But, you know, it's very important. Travel's always been very, very important to humankind. It's the way you move goods, the way you move people. So of the utmost importance.
There you go. When railroads were the backbone of regional trade, Spartanburg emerged as a center of commerce, transportation, and industry. Spartanburg is no stranger to violent crime. There's a 1 in 63 chance of experiencing violent crime, according to FBI-derived data. They don't call it Murderburg for no reason.
So 163, is that bad?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty bad for an area this size.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, my God.
Since textiles were a major industry in the area, many mill villages sprang up to house employees and their families. Some of these villages had a company store. Workers lived in small houses and duplexes built in rows. Back then, working in the mills was a family affair. Like, if your dad worked in the mill, you were probably going to work in the mill.
Yeah, and this has always been the case around places like that because oftentimes it's one of the better jobs in the area. So if you grow up and seeing, you know, and you had a good life, and your grandpa, your grandma, whoever made good money and seemed to enjoy their job for the most part, end up with a nice pension, you know, something people used to get, and good retirement. Why wouldn't you go work there, right?
Sadly, so many of these textile mills that were pretty prevalent in the South, as we've learned throughout the podcast, we've discussed some of these mill towns. And in like the Hudson Valley in New England, I know Massachusetts had a lot of textile mills at one point. Most of these have closed and gone overseas.
Yeah, I must say textiles were one of the areas that was very aggressively offshored when that became popular.
In the 90s, I remember.
I mean, and they just disappeared overnight.
We had several, when I was growing up in Western North Carolina, there was an Oshkosh plant, Champion, like the sporting goods, like sweatshirts. There was a Champion textile, and all of those closed in the 90s, and the jobs shipped, you know, were outsourced.
Yeah, it happened all over the country.
Our story today is about the Johnson family. Thomas and Mary Johnson both worked at Clifton Mills No. 2 and lived in the village for 35 years. Clifton Mills No. 1, okay, so there's 3 of them. There's 1, 2, and 3. They were built in 1881 through 1895. So during a flood in June of 1903, the mills and their villages were destroyed. Everything was rebuilt. A few years later, Clifton Mills operated until the 1990s. Thomas and Mary had 4 sons: Charles, David, Edward, and Keith. Charles passed away before his first birthday.
That's sad.
It is. In 1976, when Edwin was 22 years old, he died in a car accident. The youngest son, Keith, remained in the area, living not far from his parents. 43-year-old David, the second oldest son, lived at home with Thomas and Mary. Now, according to reports, David had a disability that kept him from living independently, so he relied on his parents for daily help, driving him, that type of thing. So it sounds like he was, very dependent. The Johnsons lived at 270 Cedar Street in the Clifton community. The family has been described as deeply rooted in this community. They're quiet. They're well known locally. They go to church regularly, have a church family, very active in church. Mary had a regular social life. She liked going to the hair salon. And now, do you remember back in the day? I know my Nana, all my grandmas did this. They went to the hair salon like one day a week.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a big deal. Like, they had their hair appointment. They did not miss it. They would go get like a perm or a roller set.
Yep.
Right? They'd go get the perm, and then they would follow it up for months with the roller set, and then they'd go get another perm like 6 months later or whatever.
Yeah, they went religiously.
Yes.
And I have to think that they were, and it's still true to this day, I'm sure. Of course, hair care has changed quite a bit. That was the bread and butter for some of these these stylists, right? Because you can count on these women, and they would be very concerned about rainy days and things like that directly after, especially the first couple of days.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
They always care, but that first 48
Can't get that
hours,
perm wet.
no, and they might sleep sitting straight up in the bed or kind of propped up on pillows. Might have something on their head. They did not play around and you did not touch it.
No, it was like a teased up, bouffantish, poodle perm. You get the roller set. The stylist would spray you all up.
Oh, yeah.
You'd get lacquered up and sent home. And then it's like you maintained that style for several days. And some women didn't wash their hair for the whole week until they went back to the salon.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would get their hair washed. I mean, it was like a whole thing, right? I'm really too lazy to keep up with that. That's a lot.
Was a lot and a lot of costs involved, but you know what? It was what they wanted to do.
It is. Yeah. Many a Saturday morning did I spend at the beauty shop with my Nana.
Now, would you hear gossip?
Oh, yeah.
So
I knew all the gossip.
I bet.
I knew all about my Nana's hairdresser was named Trellis. I knew all about Trellis's family.
Her name's Trellis?
Her no account son, and yeah.
Now,
That no account wife of his. Yeah. I knew like all these intimate details about these people, even though I had no idea who they were.
man, that's such a country phrase, no account.
No account.
Now, and when people say that, they say it with their chest. They really mean it.
It's true. Friends became worried on January 9th of 1993 when Mary didn't turn up for her usual hair appointment. She did not call. No cancellation, a no-show. This was unlike Mary. 81-year-old Thomas had recently suffered some health issues, which landed him in a nursing home. I'm assuming this is more like a rehab type of facility. 77-year-old Mary missed her husband and didn't want him living in this nursing home. Often families decide to move their loved one, home after an illness. Just it's more comfortable typically for the sick person, but also it's more comforting for the family to have their loved one home in their care.
Yeah, and that's really a tricky position for families to be in because depending on what's happened to their family member, they need a lot of care, specialized care around the clock, observation and things like that. But I have to say, the few times I've been in these rehabs, okay, and this is true of anywhere, the hospital or whatever. I would much rather be at home.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's not saying anything bad about the rehab
I
itself.
don't want to share a room with somebody
No.
else. It always smells weird.
Smells like that
sterile, like
industrial,
very sterile, but also kind of like pee. The food looks terrible.
It's not good.
It's like bland.
It's a bad situation. You're not going to. I would never get any rest there. I don't even sleep well in an Airbnb or a hotel room or anywhere not my house. It's terrible. So I understand. And plus, if you can, you just want to be with your loved one.
Nowadays, we are lucky to have home health, where nurses will come into your home, help care for your loved one.
Yeah, I would say that's an advancement because that was I guess that didn't really exist back in the day, right?
No, you were just expected to go to the nursing home or the hospital, and that was it. Thomas's condition had improved enough that Mary felt it was time to move him home. And though Mary was older and suffered from emphysema, she maintained her role as a caregiver in the household. So not only was she looking after their adult son, but also her husband, Thomas. Our girl Mary, she's got a lot going on here, Dylan, and she still likes to maintain a bit of self-care. Good for Mary. That means she has this standing hair appointment on Saturdays. And it just so happened that Mary's longtime friend, Maddie Thornton, was the hairdresser. And it seems that her daughter-in-law, Elizabeth, worked at the salon also. Elizabeth is married to Keith, Mary's youngest son.
Okay, so she had intimate ties to this salon.
Right, like her bestie works there,
right,
as does her daughter-in-law. Now, like I said, I remember, my grandparents doing this perm, roller set, gossip, great way to get out of the house. You're pampered, you're socializing and all that. So when Mary is a no-call, no-show at this appointment, Maddie Thornton tried phoning her friend but got no answer. This was unusual. 3 people lived in the home, and surely someone would answer the call. After a few tries, Maddie felt something wasn't right. The pair Maddie and Elizabeth were worried. They kind of worried all day about Mary. Finally, around 6:30 p.m., the women drove to the Johnson home to check on Mary. They wanted to know what was going on and, of course, offer help, assistance, if that was needed. And I'm sure with Thomas's recent bout of health problems, they considered something might have happened, an emergency, a health problem. After all, they're both elderly.
All right, and that's will be one of your first thoughts or concerns. Has someone had some kind of a health crisis? Has something happened? Or, I'm going to go over there. And I think people do this. This is something you do frequently as your family members or friends get older. You go check on them. Not a big deal. And usually everything's fine, right? And you'll figure it out.
The women knocked on all the doors, which were locked. No one answered, even when the women called out for the family. Elizabeth and Keith had a spare key to the Johnsons' home. Elizabeth made a quick trip up the street to get the house key. At that point, she was concerned. With the spare key, the women were able to enter into the home. According to reports, the Johnsons had converted one of the downstairs rooms into like this large bedroom where they all slept. Because they were elderly and had a disabled son, it was more convenient to sleep downstairs. So it just sounds like they all shared this big open bedroom.
Okay.
When Elizabeth entered into this room, she noticed Mary's glasses were on the floor. Mary couldn't see without her glasses.
So it's not optional for her to not have glasses on.
Right.
She needed them. It's one of those deals where you
don't go, like, she's one of those people that she doesn't go anywhere without the glasses.
Right.
All I can think of is that movie, My Girl, where she's like, what about his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. It was like the saddest scene in a movie.
My Girl was a sad movie.
It made me cry. It was so sad. Now, immediately Elizabeth feels uneasy. Mary didn't go anywhere without her glasses, as I mentioned. It was unlikely that she would not wear them around the house either.
Well, yeah, and you come in and you see someone's glasses lying on the floor. That's not somewhere typically you leave your glasses, right?
No.
No matter what happened, you dropped them, whatever, you get them and put them up, at least lay them on a table or something.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And I think that's one of the things that you definitely would notice if you came in, like if someone had a cane or a walker, something they counted on every day to aid them,
Yeah.
and it was just in the floor, you would be concerned, right? I mean, I think the glasses are kind of in that same realm. The women are looking around the house, trying to find the 3 people who live there, calling out. No one's answering. Very peculiar. Like, where did they all go?
Well, now that you went through, you're worried about what might be going on, and you've gone to the house, and you expect to have a quicker resolution, right? You're going to see someone say, hey, oh, the phone's messed up, blah, 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 whatever. But then you kind of find an empty house that's, already having signs of things that make you uneasy. The glass is on the floor. No one's here. You got these 2 elderly people and someone who's disabled. You expect someone to be home, right?
Then they stumble into the bedroom, this large kind of open bedroom that the 3 share. And they find Thomas, Mary, and David on a bed.
Oh, my gosh.
The Johnsons had all been stabbed to death.
Damn.
There were signs of a struggle, but just in this bedroom. Bloodstains were found in the kitchen, around the telephone in the living room. More blood is located, obviously, in the bedroom. There was a little bit of blood on a chair, and I don't know if that was in the living room where the telephone was located or if this was like a kitchen chair. My research didn't really specify. But it sounds like most of the struggle and blood is in the bedroom. Like just little remnants of it around the house. Sounds like maybe not even enough you would notice unless you were looking for it.
Oh, okay.
Because they walked in, they looked around. They didn't notice the blood on the phone or the stains on the, in the kitchen. So it sounds maybe it wasn't like super obvious.
Okay.
Until law enforcement gets there and starts investigating. Well, naturally, these women call for help. When law enforcement arrives at the home, one of the first things they notice is no forced entry into the residence. It's clear that robbery was not a motive because the home is in order. Nothing had been taken. It was not ransacked.
So there's really nothing out of place. No obvious signs of anything besides the 3 victims in the bedroom for the most part.
Right.
Which is very strange.
And then
right?
the house is locked as if someone has locked it like from the inside, or they had a key to unlock it. I mean, some doors you can kind of lock and close, but a lot of doors you have to have a key to like lock from the outside.
Right. Especially some deadbolts and things like that.
Right. Without much evidence at this crime scene, investigators are baffled. Now, there is a strange thing that is left behind, Dylan. And that is a very worn Detroit Pistons ball cap.
Okay.
Now, it does not belong to anyone in the family and was not identifiable.
So no one's ever seen any member wear this Detroit Pistons cap. And the way you're describing it, this is a hat someone wears every day.
Right. It's
or has
worn,
had a very, very long
and
time.
I guess also at this time, maybe the Detroit Pistons weren't doing as well as they had like some years earlier. So it was also kind of like, okay, this isn't really a team that's super popular in this moment.
Right.
I mean, by the 90s, you've got the Chicago Bulls were kind of like the big team, the Lakers.
Yeah, and now I'm no NBA historian, but it seems like growing up, at first I would hear about the Supersonics, the Detroit Pistons, some of these other teams, you get it peripherally when you're a kid. But then, like you said, it goes on to be the Bulls and some other teams. But it, back in the day, it was the Knicks, the Pistons.
Right, and I think in the 80s that was kind of like their heyday, but by like the early 90s, they had kind of faded. So that was kind of another thing. It was like, well, nobody in the family is a Detroit Pistons fan. This hat's obviously very worn, so it's probably a few years old, maybe from back when the Pistons were in their heyday.
Right.
Or big winners or whatever. But nobody recognizes this hat.
So it stood out.
Yeah. Investigators are left wondering whether the perpetrator had been wearing this hat and possibly left it behind. But from what I understand, it doesn't seem like it wasn't like found in a pool of blood or anything like that. It was just kind of, just like randomly sitting somewhere in this bedroom.
Okay.
Like on the dresser or something. Now, the autopsies revealed the extent of the cruelty these people suffered. And this is terrible, especially when you're thinking about 2 elderly persons and their disabled son.
Well, no. As soon as you said that the 3 victims were in this, big room together, discovered there, I had horrible thoughts about what happened. You know what I mean? What they went through. Because of course you're going to think, hey, 3 victims, how many perpetrators, a stabbing.
Well, that's the other part. My brain is automatically assuming there has to be more than one perpetrator.
Yes, but considering 2 elderly people and a disabled person, just one act of extreme violence could freeze everyone. And that's true in many cases. And until you're in a situation like that, you never know how you would react. So,
well, here's why I feel like there had to be more than one perp, Dylan. All 3 had severely been beaten and suffered broken ribs, but they had died ultimately from those stab wounds. Now, law enforcement has never released the number of wounds or the type of weapon that was used in the murders, but it sounds like it wasn't just 1 or 2 stabs.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it just what I've read, it sounds like it was brutal. Like multiple stab wounds.
So brutal beatings and then a very brutal stabbing.
Right, and that's why I feel like there had to be more than one perp, because for one person to beat 3 people this savagely,
it's very
and then
physical.
Stab them, that's a very physical act. And while, yes, you have 2 elderly folks, their son who is disabled, but he's also, he's in his 40s and he's mentally disabled, but he could probably physically fight back.
Right, and then also most of the signs of struggle were contained to the one room, which, of course, you do have a little bit of blood smear around the phone area. Maybe someone did get out of the room and make it to the phone area. It sounds to me like, unless the perp touched the phone afterwards. But, yes, what it sounds like is the 3 victims were controlled for the most part. Right?
Yeah,
that's hard to do.
Think.
That's hard to do for one person. I don't care who you are. It is.
Right. And again, I'm no expert, but just we've covered enough true crime cases that I feel like this had to be more than one person to be able to beat and stab 3 people. Because like you said, it's a very physical act.
Yes.
And afterwards, a single person would just be exhausted.
Right.
Law enforcement theorized the murders had come in this kind of quick attack, one after the other. The victims had died within a short time of each other. As you can imagine, the residents of Clifton were shocked. Things like this just did not happen there. Around 2,000 people lived in this area, like this little mill community. People didn't lock their doors. There weren't even street lights.
So, yeah, it's going to be a very tight-knit community. People have known each other. Families have known each other probably for generations. Now you have a triple homicide, brutal murders, it sounds like from everything you're describing. And it's 2 people who, not that anyone deserves to be killed, but these aren't young people.
They're not people living a high-risk lifestyle.
Yes.
They're not drug dealers.
Not out partying, no drugs involved, none of that. So, yeah, it's simply not going to make sense to the residents.
Right. They're a quiet family. They have friends, but they're not, they're involved in the community, but it almost sounds like they just kind of mind their business, keep to themselves.
Right.
Go to church.
Salt of the earth, blue collar, regular folk.
Yeah. Just kind of like good country folks, With little information and no arrests, rumors circulated, as they always do. People love to talk. According to some folks, David had experienced changes in personality over the years since his brother's death. Now, if you remember, Edwin had died in a car accident as a younger man. And they say that David was never the same after this. When he was in high school, David had been a standout football player. He had been very popular and outgoing. After his brother's death, David became withdrawn and didn't want to be around people. Now, there's no information available as to David's mental health status. I don't know if he was suffering from depression or grief, but many people thought David had killed his parents and that this was some kind of murder-suicide.
Okay. That's interesting, I guess. And maybe they certainly know more about the history and family than I ever will. But I've got to wonder how you beat and stab yourself to death.
Well, again, I think this is rumor. And because the police were kind of keeping a tight lip on all of the details.
Which only invites more rumors.
It does. So initially it's, I heard he beat them and killed them and then he killed himself,
Right, without even knowing the facts.
Right, because people love to talk, like I said.
No, and especially back then, if anyone shows any signs of, and I'm sure this is true to a degree nowadays, people are quite a bit more knowledgeable on mental health issues and things like that. But if you act what people would say is quote unquote weird back in the day, and then something happens.
Well, mental health was very taboo back then.
Right. And if something does happen, they're almost automatically going to think, well, I wonder if he or she or whoever did something because, they acted weird, or which it could just be social anxiety.
Well, right.
Or
I mean, it
anything.
reminds me of almost like of Mice and Men.
Yes.
Right? Where it's automatically assumed that the big weird guy who has, a childlike cognitive
Lenny.
Yeah. That he's the guilty one, and I think that's carried over. I think a lot of people, the Boo Radley complex, if you will, from To Kill a Mockingbird.
I was just petting her, George.
Right.
Yeah, I want to pet you, baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a threat or you're trying to be seductive.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah. We'll just take it however it comes.
But, I mean, honestly, threats are kind of sexy, so just go ahead and threaten me there, big boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to squeeze you. I'm going to squeeze you till you can't breathe.
You're like a big Yeti.
Oh, I'm the abdominable snowman.
The abdominable.
Yeah. You said I'm growing hair like on my back or something.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know if it's old age or working out. Let's blame it on working out.
Why would working out
my testosterone
increase your hair growth on your back? I think it's just being an old fart.
No, hold on now. No, I'm turning into like a monster. Yeah,
Well, when I met you, I'm not going to say you were virtually hairless, but you're not a fur. I mean, you're not. You have like a normal amount of fur. You're not like a furry man.
I know.
You don't have like a huge patch of chest. People are like, I don't want to hear this. But I'm going to tell you anyway. You have to imagine him. No, you don't have like a huge amount of chest hair. You don't have like
don't have a loaf.
Back hair, shoulder. I mean, you don't have all that. So yeah, I've noticed lately because your back, it's always been like baby smooth, and you have like the softest skin. I think because it's like untouched by the sun.
Yeah, because I've been fat and ashamed to be out in the sun without a shirt all my life.
Because you've never taken your shirt off in the sun. So you have like this baby soft skin. It's crazy, and you don't even moisturize. And then I'm over here with like my scaly lizard old lady skin. Like, please.
Putting every Korean skincare product on the market on you.
Double lotioning.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 different lotions because my skin's so dry. And then here you are with your little like baby skin.
My virgin skin.
Yeah, but I have noticed that you've got like these little rebel outposts of hair cropping up.
Okay.
All on your back.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like, does this mean eventually you are going to look like you're wearing a sweater?
Becoming Dylan. Becoming Dylan. A new podcast series that's coming out soon.
It's like becoming a wolf man?
Yeah. I'm like, grr.
What is becoming Dylan? That's not a good title.
It's not?
That's a stupid title.
That's when I'm finding myself.
How
I'm
are
not
you
growing.
How are you going to brand this?
Because I forgot where I'm at, so I got to find myself,
I mean, that makes more sense. Because you're terrible with directions, and you're a little stupid.
Oh.
You're really pretty. Just be pretty.
I'm not pretty,
You don't have
stupid.
to. You don't have to be smart.
Tell me again. I'm not pretty. Stop.
You're pretty.
Oh, stop it.
I'll be the brains. You be the beauty. Okay, of this operation.
All
but
right.
it's true. You have the worst sense of direction. No matter where we're going, you always go the opposite direction of like how we need to go.
Well, no.
And then I'll be watching you like, wait a minute, it's that way. But you're super confident that you know exactly where you are. And then a couple miles, I'll be like, you know, you were supposed to go the other way, right?
If it's a 50-50 choice at any point in any way, I always pick the wrong choice.
You do.
So I really need to go against my
You
instincts.
do. Or you could just listen to me when I tell you
Well, yeah.
things from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I have exceptional land nav skills.
I have to find out for
Not
myself.
that I was ever a Delta Force operator or anything like that, but
I have to find out for
could
myself.
be. Yes, you do.
All right, so here we are. Let's jump back in.
Now let's make fun of you some more.
No, I mean, just this. I'm just living my authentic life.
Okay.
My
Well,
authentic
yeah, let's
self.
get back to the story. David did not have a propensity for violence, and as the autopsy showed, all 3 people had been murdered. But you know how people carry on.
Well, yeah, because since there's not a whole lot of information coming from authorities, people are just going to fill in the gaps. They're going to put their own information, their own suspicions, and plus people just like to gossip. Let's be honest, when something happens, even something terrible like this, people love to...
You will hear the most outrageous claims when someone goes missing or there's a homicide.
You really will.
Just things that don't make a lick of sense. And then you find out it's like not true, and you're like, wow, because I didn't see that coming.
And people never put out retractions.
No.
They never say, wow, I was way off on that one.
No, and even when the truth does come out, they'll still perpetuate whatever insane story they dreamed up.
Yeah, it's true.
They'll still spread that around. It's
They'll be like,
people are a study, man. I'm telling you. So the Johnsons' only surviving son, Keith, was interviewed. It seemed law enforcement was focusing only on Keith and his wife, Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth thought the police had tunnel vision and were wasting resources investigating the surviving family members instead of trying to find the actual killer. And we've heard this time and time again in true crime cases where police they get a theory and they believe it's a family member. They
Right.
believe the husband did it, the wife did it, and there's just no telling them otherwise.
no, and it seems they won't even consider information or any lead that doesn't fit their already preconceived narrative. And it's very toxic to an investigation when this happens.
I listened to a podcast the other day that was very much like this, and it was so frustrating.
And oftentimes, I feel like you see it when it's a crime that is very unusual or out of the ordinary for a community or an area, because they simply don't have the experience to deal with these types of things, because any good homicide detective, if you're watching any of these shows or reading any books, you'll see that they go out of their way to remain objective, and they are very quick to let go of any theories that or ideas they've come up with when presented with other evidence.
Well, I think good detectives let the evidence paint the picture instead of letting the theory paint the picture, and then they get the
Find evidence to prove the theory.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Exactly. They're not afraid to go back to square one. And I think when you have inexperienced investigators, often they think, oh, no forced entry, it's not a robbery, no obvious robbery. So in their mind, they're already thinking it has to be someone they know.
well, and I understand that part. I mean, that does make the most sense that these people, I mean, the way the neighborhood, like where they live, it's not like just off the highway or street. It's not a convenient house to get to. It's a place where, you'd have to know where you're going kind of thing to get there. So the thought of this just being some kind of random attack doesn't really make sense. And like a random person, how would they even know who lives there, or that there are 3 people there?
Or that they can handle them, or any of that.
Right.
But, and a lot of times family members will say, I understand that they have to take a look at us.
And that's how Elizabeth and Keith felt.
But they took a look There's absolutely no reason for them to keep taking a look, but they kind of won't leave us alone, and that's what happens.
Right. And the family, they're beginning to feel annoyed by this, right? Like, quit looking at us and get out there and do your job.
Well, and that's what it is. I don't think it's so much about having, been investigated. It's the fact that you're continuing to kind of hone in on me, and we know damn well we didn't do it, so that naturally means that the real killer's out there and they're getting away right now while you look at us.
Right.
And that has to be very frustrating.
But from a law enforcement perspective, because, I always like to play devil's advocate, they want to look at anyone who might have a motive. And if Keith is the only son left, it's likely he stood to inherit like his parents' assets, so I can see both sides.
Oh, yeah. As an investigator, I'd have to take a hard look at the lone survivor of any family when something like this happens, because it's anytime you have multiple generations killed in one act, you have to think like that. Like, who stands to benefit from this situation?
Usually in a crime like this, the victim knows their killer, and if the killer was a stranger, the case becomes even more difficult to solve. Why would a stranger target this family, especially since robbery was not the motive? And as we know, stabbing deaths are personal, as are strangulation usually. You're up close, face to face with a person, and in this case, 3 people.
Yeah, I just don't understand who's even capable of something like this personally.
Well, when I think about that, I'm like, who could look an elderly 80-something-year-old man who's very frail and weak in the face and just beat them and stab them? Or this elderly lady. I mean, all murder is, I'm not saying any murder is okay, but all murder is bad, guys. And beating anyone to death, that's not good. But just the thought of beating an elderly person is so far from any thought I could ever have or process.
Well,
it's like attacking a child.
Yes, it is. And
these are vulnerable people.
Anytime I hear about crimes against elderly people, or someone rapes an elderly woman or anything like that,
it's so cowardly.
It is, and I think it goes against your your evolution, because they're not a threat to you physically, typically, and things like that. And it's just something like, it's like you care. Any decent society cares for their children and the elderly, right? You take care of them.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it goes against everything. When you hear about an elderly person being attacked, punched, assaulted, any of that, it really just makes my blood boil.
Same. Yeah, I feel the same about elderly folks as I do about children. Like, my instinct is to protect them. They're vulnerable members of our society. They need to be treated very carefully, and people should care for them and treat them with compassion and love, and we should all want to protect them.
Agreed.
After weeks of investigating and no suspects, the case goes cold. Now, the Detroit Pistons hat, was the only viable piece of evidence available in the case. And as I mentioned, by 1993, the Pistons were not doing that well. So again, that's something that investigators kind of tossed around, is that this is probably not the most popular team at the moment. So whoever owned this hat has probably had it for a while, and it's pretty worn.
Well, and this is also in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So it's not in the state, nowhere near Detroit. It's not someone.
No, and at this time, like, the Charlotte Hornets were kind of a up-and-coming popular team in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I would imagine if you lived in upstate South Carolina in the 90s, you might have been a Charlotte Hornets fan. I'm just going out on a limb here.
Right. And of course, people like who they like, and you don't have to live near the team. But yeah, so and
whatever, weirdo.
They have nothing else to work with, so of course they're gonna.
You better like a team that's in your backyard, you son of a bitch.
They're gonna treat this hat. They're gonna come at this hat with maybe more gusto than they normally would if they had other evidence.
By 1994, the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Department offered a $50,000 reward for information in the case. This reward was available for only 30 days in hopes that someone would act quickly, take advantage of this $50,000, come forward with information. But unfortunately, no one came forward.
Now, I believe that might be the first time I've ever heard kind of a time limit on the reward to try to get someone to act quickly.
Now, it does seem... I think that's kind of a smart idea, though.
Well, no, it is. I like it. I mean, but you know how many times people, more times than not, people never get any of these rewards.
That's what you say.
Yeah, it's true. They always find some way of screwing you out of it, or they just never even follow up to, actually give you the reward. I know the FBI is notorious for that.
So you hear that, guys? There's no incentive to go forward with information.
I'll be like,
No, I'm
look,
just kidding.
I need half the reward up front in small denomination bills, unmarked, non-sequential.
I need it guaranteed in writing that you're going to give me this reward.
And I did see speaking of rewards, they've just upped the reward in the Guthrie case to $200,000.
Man, they are really focusing on this lady.
Yeah, I know. And,
It's everywhere.
and especially in the Arizona area,
yeah,
that's all they talk about.
seems
Which-
to be.
Again, like Heather said before, it's very sad, but it seems to be, you're talking about it too much. I mean, like, when you're giving out every simple detail, even stuff that doesn't matter, stuff no one wondered or
You mean
asked.
like how dare the sheriff take a moment and go to a basketball game?
Right.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it makes you wonder.
I
but-
saw the sheriff at the drive-thru.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's fucking up the case.
I bet he took a poop. How dare he?
That's 20 minutes he could have devoted to the case.
He needs to hold it until they find this
Now, I mean,
woman.
I get it. Like, Savannah Guthrie, she's a celebrity. She's famous or whatever. I had no idea who she was.
The only reason I know who she is
The Today Show, right?
is because her and Hoda Kotb,
There's that podcast ad.
they do a podcast ad on Dateline.
Yes.
And that is the only reason I know
That
who
is the-
either of them
That
are.
is the only reason I had any idea who they were either.
Because no offense to anyone, but every time I hear it, I'm like, who in the hell watches this? But millions of people do, obviously. But I'm
Right.
just like, oh my God.
Probably my mom.
Just this ad alone, it makes me disgusted. Like I would never. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to watch those like morning.
Well,
talk
just any of
shows.
those. They
It's
really,
just-
it's just so much fluff
Yeah.
and fakeness. And then I see what the world is, what the world's been all my life for the most part. And I've just never, I don't know. It's never
No.
appealed to me.
The only like talk show I want to watch is the salacious talk shows. Like I wanted to stay home from school sick and watch Jerry Springer.
Sally Jesse Raphael,
I wanted to watch Geraldo get punched in the face by a Klansman or whatever.
Jenny
Jenny Jones.
Jones, the Ricky Lake show, bud.
You are not the baby daddy. Like I wanted.
Maury.
I wanted to watch the trash.
Hey, that was the
Okay,
shit.
I don't want to watch you interview this chef about their new cookbook.
No,
I don't want Martha Stewart to come on and do a demonstration on like napkin folding for Easter holidays.
The Montel Williams show. This was the heyday of daytime talk.
Hell yeah.
Geraldo with the hard hitting. The Klan's gonna fight people on there.
Donahue.
Dude, Donahue was like the serious one.
Oprah back before she started doing a bunch of bullshit fluff.
Before everybody got a car.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving along. In 1997, a cold case unit was established in hopes of leveraging forensic advances in the cold cases. However, there don't seem to be any new developments in the Johnson family murders. After 3 decades, the Johnson family triple homicide remains unsolved.
Damn.
Like many other unsolved cases we cover, I do feel there is hope of catching the killer, because if any DNA was left at the crime scene, perhaps new technology could break through. I think about that Pistons hat, and I wonder if that has been tested at all. If that was taken into evidence, if they've tried to retest that over the years, because we've got the familial DNA now,
Well, and I gotta say that,
mitochondrial DNA, all these things.
and they can get an old sample that'll blow that blows my mind how old a sample can be and degraded, and the most minuscule sample now is a big deal. But honestly, I think one of the biggest breakthroughs in the last 10, 15 years has been the familial
DNA.
familial
or whatever.
DNA, the online databases and things like that, where you can get these connections without directly having the perp's DNA. And it's solved, as we've seen, it's solved many cases, especially cold cases.
And as I pay attention to the news, especially like crime news, all of that. Got to be in the know for you guys. There have been a lot of these cold cases solved. It seems like recently. I've read several from like 1980, going back as late as like 1969. These cases being solved now, and they're using the familial DNA. They're getting breakthroughs in these cases that seemed impossible to solve, that are 50, 60 years old, that you think, oh, there's no way in hell they'll ever solve that case. And they're solving them left and right. I mean, I read every day, it seems, about some cold case that is being solved. And I think that's amazing. I love this.
Yeah, it is.
I love this technology. So it could be that the police are keeping details to themselves. I mean, there could be some more information they're holding back. I feel like they were pretty tight-lipped on the investigation and the details at the crime scene. I mean, when you go back and read the old newspaper archives on this case, there's just a little evidence, little detail. They're not telling you very much.
Right.
And as we know, a lot of times money is the issue when it comes to testing a lot of these cold case items, cold case evidence.
Yeah, it's almost always an issue. I mean, you have to have like some political will, if you will, to get it done. And I've said before, with the billions thrown around by this country, I think every area should be allotted some federal dollars yearly, and they can decide which case they might want to submit, maybe the more memorable ones, or ones that they the older ones, or ones they think there's a good shot of it breaking the case. I think that should be federally funded. Not a single rape kit should be sitting on a shelf anywhere untested. Testing and financial issues should never stop a case from being solved in this country. That's the way I truly feel. There's way too much wealth being thrown around, given away, and however else you want to say it. And I saw, I can't remember what case it was, just the other day. It was, gosh, it must have been nearly 60 years old, solved. And it's so old that the family members, the perpetrator, everyone was basically dead now. But they said, if this person was alive, we now have enough evidence to move forward with an indictment. So they were comfortable saying that this person, even posthumously, is the person that did this. And that's so interesting to me. Even the descendants, the relatives that are alive, that were tiny kids then, or whatever, or it was their their parents it happened to, or they're still
generations back.
They're still getting that closure. They're still looking for that closure.
Because even though the folks immediately affected by this, the immediate relatives, the sisters, the
friends,
parents, that
everything.
kind of thing, may have passed. I mean, we talk about generational trauma all the time, and that is passed down. And people do live with these questions. When there is a question of, was my relative murdered 75 years ago, or was it an accident? And you don't have those answers. Like, it doesn't matter if everyone has passed away or not. Like, families still deserve to know the truth.
Right. If you grew up your whole life with your mom or dad telling you their best friend was killed when they were younger and they never found out who did it, and then you hear who did it, you finally get those answers your parents never got. That is going to give you some comfort, because you're going to think, wow, if my mom or dad was here, they would really like to hear this information. This would give them comfort knowing.
We hear family members who are, a few generations removed from the crime still advocating for cold cases. I think of like the Boston Strangler, one of the victims of the Boston Strangler. It's like her nephew, and I don't think he ever met the victim, and he's, an older gentleman now. I mean, he's been advocating for answers for, 2 decades.
Right, and that just proves what you said, the generational trauma, how horrible murder and things like that are, and how they affect people for the rest of their lives.
Well, if you have any information that could help investigators solve this case, You can contact the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office at 864-503-4600 or email unsolved@spartanburgcounty.org.
And if Heather would like to get some good squeezins, she can contact me at 1-800-BIG-DADDY-DYLAN.
Oh.
Yeah. I got a website too, but
Did you do you have to tell everybody?
we're still waiting on it to come up.
People don't want to know about all that.
Yeah.
We're like gross. We're like their gross, horny parents. They're like, ew, I don't want to know that. Ew,
Hey,
shut up.
We still hold hands.
That's about all we do. Let's be
Hey,
fair.
Giving her a
Let's be fair.
softball. There we go.
Let's be fair.
All right, Heather, thank you for that. That was a sad story.
This case, ever since I've learned of it, has just really bothered me. It's one of those that kind of lives rent free in my soul
Yeah.
that I want solved. Just because it is so strange, there are so few details, and who would want to harm these 3 people, especially these 2 elderly people, and then their disabled son? I mean, it's just, like I said, senseless violence.
I don't
And
think
they deserve justice.
my hot take at the end here, I don't think it was random violence. I think it was someone that knew them. I think this seems like overkill, a lot of anger and pent-up rage. And I don't think, I think it certainly was someone familiar with the victims. I think it almost had to be, given all the circumstances.
But then it just makes you wonder, who, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Very strange case.
All right, so until next time, just
be quiet, Dylan. They've had enough of you, okay?
No, hold
They've
on.
had enough of you and your back hair.
I just wanted them to say, me and my 2 back hairs want you to know that we're thinking of you. And if I dream of you,
Oh, gosh.
the listeners, y'all are not doing anything bad in the dreams. It's nothing gross. We're just friends. There's a lot of warmth when we see each other. We're both happy.
You'll dream about them even if you can't hold them tonight, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, and y'all are just listening to me in my dream, and I'm just talking, and everyone seems to be. It doesn't feel transactional. It feels genuine.
Okay, Dan Hartman.
All right.
He's going to dream about you even if he can't hold you tonight.
Yeah.
All right. If you have a listener story for us, feel free to drop us an email, mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. Dylan, the head bitch in charge, our buddy Courtney, has sent us some listener tales, and I cannot wait to read them on an episode. I'm so excited.
Oh, my gosh. I have her business card right here in the studio. I kept them. That's the coolest cards I've ever seen.
I know you've actually got it on the desk.
And she literally is the head HBIC. It says it on her cards. So thank you for that, Courtney. And, I can't wait to hear her stories.
All right. Bye. Bye, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.